Hey friends, welcome to another edition of Driftin and Driftin. This is Reverend Billy C. Wirtz, and it is my pleasure and an honor to be here with my good friend and a truly great musician. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Anson Funderburgh. It is great to see you, brother.
Man, it's good to see you too, Billy. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been far too long. And we started doing these interviews a few months ago for the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise, and the fans and the cruisers alike have just really enjoyed these because, we talk about the music and I like to talk player to player. As players, we're used to getting interviewed, but they ask all kinds of weird questions. And these are just some of the ones that try to find out a little bit more, kind of how this whole thing evolved. So tell me, when did you get your first guitar?
Oh, man. There's pictures of me in 57 with the little Roy Rogers guitar. I've always kind of wanted to drag a guitar around and beat on it and play music. I don't know. I mean, I've always liked music. My mother and daddy loved to dance, and it seemed like there was always country music or the radio going somewhere, people dancing and listening to music.
So how old were you when you first started picking on a guitar a little bit and just getting to know it?
Well, I probably actual real guitar, probably, I don't know, 12, 13.
Okay. That sounds about right. Sure.
Sure. But I actually, like I said, I had one of those little Roy Rogers guitars. I was 3 with a cowboy suit.
Right.
So
was there anything else that you ever wanted to be besides a musician?
Gosh, I don't know. I've always wondered when I was going to have to get a real job, and so far I hadn't yet. But it might be coming before the end,
Yeah. I hear you. So, what was the first band that you put together?
Oh man, I played in a band called what was the name of that band? There was one called Calico. There was one called SoundCloud Reunion, and I was probably, I don't know, 15, 15, about 15 years old. And we played all kinds of push music, music for people to dance to. Sort of looks like the Shag. You're out in Florida, but I know you spent time in the Carolinas around Myrtle Beach, and the Texas push looked a whole lot like the Shag.
When was that popular?
Huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. When was the push popular in Texas, and what would be some of the songs that we would associate with push?
Honky Tonk, Bill Doggett, Hideaway.
Sure.
They're all songs that are about 120 beats a minute. Shuffles or strolls,
That's the exact same tempo as the Shag.
Yeah, it is.
And what about dun 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 dun? What's the song?
Oh yeah, Linda Lou.
Linda Lou, yeah.
Yeah.
That's almost like the national anthem of push, right?
Well, he was from Fort Worth. He was from Texas, I guess. He's been around Fort Worth forever, and he was like one of their favorites. Linda Lou's. That was a huge push song.
Did you ever get to see Ray Sharp back in the day?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back there because we're talking about that era. When you're talking about blues and music in general, there was a functional value to it. In other words, it had to be good to dance to.
Absolutely. And that was country music, any of it, seemed like dancing was, a pretty important piece of music of it that back then to me.
When did you see the change over to the listening room or to the audience mainly listening rather than,
really, Billy, I don't know about you, but we played all those old joints and, it was still just people would dance to it. People would listen to it. People shot pool to it. People drank to it.
Foosball.
Well, you know, when I started noticing a difference when we started going to Europe, because we'd play those cultural centers and we'd play theaters, and you know, there was some rooms that maybe was more listening than others in the States, but I mean that's where, you know, I really went, oh wow, that sort of made me nervous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was used to having people, you know, dancing.
Sure.
So,
Going back just a step, when I was 13, my neighbor turned me on to the first Paul Butterfield album. And then shortly after that, I got the Blues Volume 2 with, you know, the chess thing with Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy and all those. What was the first record that you remember that opened your eyes up that made you go, wow, I want to play this. This is the stuff I want to play.
Well, I'll tell you, it's when I got my very first guitar, the one you were talking about, my mother bought this acoustic. It was just a regular standard guitar with a single hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
And she bought it from a lady that she worked with. She was a cook at the elementary school in Plano. And she bought it from a lady that she worked with's daughter. And when we bought the guitar, she gave me a box of 45s. And in this box of 45s was it had some Jimmy Reed song, Running and Hiding, Going to New York. Had Hideaway, had Honky Tonk, and it also had Snow Cone, Part 2 by Albert Collins. And when I heard that song, I thought, now boy, if I could really get a guitar to sound like that, it blew me away. I mean, it was a hard shuffle starting with the drums, you know.
Yeah.
And it was bad, man. I mean, it got my attention.
Snow Cone Part 2. Okay.
Yeah, and I was probably really, I don't know exactly, you know, 10, 12,
Sure.
Whatever. But it was, boy, it knocked me out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's similar to the first time I heard Jerry Lee Lewis play piano. You know,
I bet.
You know, whoa. So
I don't know what that is, but I want to be able to do it.
Exactly. At any rate, so when did you decide to try and make a living at this?
God, I still hadn't decided
that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just. You know, I've just been fortunate. I'm sure you have too. You just kind of, you start on this path and you just kind of never really look back.
Right.
You know, and there's been good times. There's been bad times. Might not have seen it quite as bad as it's been here during this last year, but you know, man, it's, it'll get better.
What was the break for you that made it, you know, like for me, I went and lived with Sunnyland Slim for about 6 weeks. And then said, okay, you know, I can cut it with some of the guys up here, then I can go ahead and give this a shot. Was there a point for you or something, anything that happened along the way that somebody with a band in particular or anything?
You know, I mean, when I started the Rockets, you know, and started that, you know, that journey,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Daryl was in the band. He and I kind of got the Rockets up and rolling, and you know, you kind of had a partner in crime to, you know, kind of build off of each other. And we did real good. You know, it was fun. We made a couple of records. We met, you know, I mean, I guess to get us to that next level is we were playing in New Orleans and Hammond came out and saw us, Hammond Scott from from Blacktop label.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that was our opportunity to start making records with the Rockets. And I mean, you know, I played on a bunch of those records and stuff, but
sure.
I mean, you know, it gave us a vehicle to make music and have it played on the radio. And and start playing out more, and our, instead of just playing in 3 or 4 states, Louisiana and Mississippi and Arkansas, and we started making that trip up to the north and
living in that van,
West and in the West, and just started kind of stretching out more and more.
Sure.
That was probably one of the biggest things, I guess, that helped us.
Okay. And so when did Sam come along? How did that happen?
Sam came along. I met Sam. We're
talking about Sam Myers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sam Myers, Daryl played the first 10 years of the Rockets, and Sam played until he passed away, and that was the next 20 years.
And he was an African American. How old was Sam?
Sam, he was 70 when he died. He was born in 1936.
Wow.
So, God, he's
the real deal.
Well, man, when we first met, and we did a little side project from the Rockets called "My Love Is Here to Stay," and it was the first record that I ever did with Sam. And I remember looking at him, I was going, man, this guy, he's really an older looking guy to me. I thought he was like old. Man, we made that record in 84.
Yeah.
So he was 48. He was only 48 years old. We made that record. I thought, man, this guy, man, he's an old cat, But I met him in probably 82. We were playing in Jackson, Mississippi at a place called George Street Grocery. And we used to go there. The first time we played there is when we met him. And we were going to play there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Used to do 3-night stands when we could do it. And did a bunch of those for Roger back in the day at the old Grand Emporium. But anyways, we were doing an in-store show at a place called Bebop Records that they had 4 or 5 stores around the Jackson, Mississippi area, Meridian, I think, and Jackson. And we were doing the in-store thing, and some young guy came up to me and said, hey, man, that song that y'all did, Sleeping in the Ground, he goes, I play with that guy. And I said, you play with Sam Myers? And he goes, yeah, man, that's the guy. I go, golly, I didn't even realize that he was still here or alive or whatever, And he goes, yeah, man. He said, y'all are playing tonight. Let me check and see if Sam's working. If he's not working somewhere, I'll bring him out. So he got Sam and came out, and that's how we all sort of met. And we all became instantly friends with Sam. And, Daryl didn't leave the band until 86.
Right.
So, man, we had so much fun just hanging out. And, that was back in the day when people were really, excited to hear blues and stuff, Stevie and the T-Birds and the Nighthawks and Robert Cray and all those people were just kind of on their way up.
Right.
And it was fun times, man, and Sam got up.
Tell me a good Sam story.
Huh?
Tell me a good Sam story. I know there's a bunch of them, but tell me.
Oh, man, most of them are X-rated. I want to stay away from them.
I know he was.
He was such a great guy. He was so much fun. He was always trying his best to put his best foot forward and be very. And all of us do this sometimes. We try so hard to be perfect that we make those mistakes. And Sam sort of did it with words, like he'd instead of saying suggestion, he'd say suggestion or festivity, or he would make up all these words that you kind of went, well, that's not really a word. Okay, I know what you mean, but okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I know that he was popular with the ladies. He loved it, and he loved.
Yeah, no man could talk to Sam when he was talking with a woman. He'd shoo him away pretty quick.
I remember he won some kind of award on one of the early cruises.
Yeah, he sure did. I think it was called the Fountain of Youth Award.
Yeah, that's it. The Fountain of Youth.
We'll let Roger explain that at some time.
So, okay, well, that's a good place to jump in with the cruises. I know that I was looking at your albums, and you have a Live at the Emporium. So your relationship with Roger Neighbor goes back quite a ways.
Long time.
And tell us how that's kind of evolved over the years into the cruises.
Well, I guess, the legendary cruise, Roger's Cruise, was the very first one that I'd ever known of.
Right.
It took music, and we played on the very first one. Mm-hmm. It was us and me and Delbert, and I can't remember all the people that was on it, but we had a blast. And it was not anything. The boat was a whole lot smaller, and half of the people were there because it was Roger's Legendary Blues Cruise. Or actually, it was called
the Ultimate. It was Ultimate Rhythm. Yeah. I was on the second one with you.
And then the other half of people were just people that were going on a cruise, and they didn't give. They didn't know what to think about us.
Sure.
But I think we got maybe 1 or 2 days in, they'd already sold out all the alcohol on the boat, and it just kind of kept growing from there. But yeah, Roger, I used to work for Roger. We started playing for Roger probably in 81 or 82, mm-hmm. when I think he was like the maybe the president of the Blues Society there in Kansas City. And we used to play a place called Harlan's Upstairs. And man, that place, you talking about people having fun and dancing, but it was upstairs, and the floor would start going like this.
Yeah.
Damn, well, you'd think, when we first started playing, I was thinking, this floor may not hold up, Mm-hmm. So we may go to the first floor real quick. But I've known Roger a long time, and I've always been able to sort of depend on Roger. We've coming through and needed a place to play. He was always there for me, man. And,
yeah, buddy.
And I played for him at Harlan's. I played for him. He was at a place, he was, I think it was called the Lone Star. And he may have booked some stuff.
Don't know about that.
It was over in Westport.
Mm-hmm.
And he did shows. And then he got the Grand Emporium. And then from there, the cruise. And,
yeah. Tell us about, for those that either are unfamiliar with the cruise or that see it strictly from the audience perspective. Tell them what's different for us as performers about, well, first of all, the funniest thing is to see bands that have never done it before. We're so used to, you play the gig, you get your money, get in the van, we got to go, and here on the cruise, you play your thing, get your money. And it's like, okay, you don't have to do anything for another day. They sit around and go, okay. And they end up on the Lido deck,
Well, exactly. And it's sort of like to me, playing these cruises, we've been seeing these people across the country for the last 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
However long it's been, I've been touring and playing ever since this, the mid 70s, mm-hmm. late 70s, playing blues with the Rockets. And, man, we've saw these people in California. People from everywhere.
Sure.
And they come, and it's, we're all in one place, and, you can sit on the Lido deck, and people come by and say hello to you hadn't seen in a while, and they can sit down, and we're not jumping in a car running off to somewhere different,
Right.
It's really
And,
nice. It was really really a great idea that Roger had, and I think we've had all of us have really had a wonderful time and a lot of fun on these things.
Yeah, it's brought us to where we are right now. I mean, doing just what we're doing. I got to ask you.
Okay.
Tell me about Mike Judge. Okay. For those of y'all that don't know, Mike Judge is an illustrator. Mike Judge is the guy that originally drew Beavis and Butthead. He did King of the Hill. And I've been told that the character of Beavis, that you were the actual model for the character Beavis.
Unbeknownst to myself, I guess. I don't know. You'll have to ask Mike that, but Mike he's a great guy, man. And what a wonderful talent. And he, the cards lined up right for all of them,
Well,
he's had a lot of success doing all this stuff.
Boy, he has. Was he doing any drawing or illustrating when he was with you?
He was really great with like voices.
Right.
And just having little quirky characters that he'd do. I remember he was talking about Milton, which Milton actually turned up in Office Space. And that was somebody that he knew. I mean, there's, he pulled his stuff from a lot of different places, and man, he was
right.
He did good, man.
Yeah, well, he clearly named you as the facially as the inspiration, for Beavis. So if I were you, that would be a badge of honor. I would carry. I mean, because I remember the first time somebody called me and said, "You've got to see this," and I was in a motel on the road like we always are, and I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I mean, and then it just went from there. And the way he incorporated the music, I mean, that's just great. And it's
he would do like imitations of people and the way they walked, and he'd do voices and stuff, but not necessarily of just certain people, but he was really funny. I used to love to hear him do Marlon Perkins, with the Mutual Omaha. He'd go, as Jim wades downstream, the anaconda slowly slides into the. No, I mean, he just had crazy stuff. But I only saw him draw one little characterization of Sam when we were traveling all the time, and it was on like just a piece of paper, and he was just goofing around. But he never really drew very much that I.
Right.
We were all traveling and driving and taking turns, and
sure,
I don't know. Maybe
just through
wouldn't be anything. I wasn't paying enough attention, I guess.
You're just trying to get the motel directions. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was.
So, that's leads to another place, okay? Because he's, this is sort of aside from playing the guitar, what are some of your other outside interests? What do you like to do when you're not playing music?
Oh, I like smoking cigars and playing golf.
Oh, there you go. What's your favorite brand of cigars?
I like those. I like Cuban cigars when I can get them, but God, there's so many wonderful cigars now that it's, I don't know.
I used to love La Gloria Cubanas.
Those are great. Those are great cigar.
And you're a golfer?
I'm a golfer. A bad one, but I like them.
What's one thing about you people would be surprised to know?
I don't know. Maybe people would be surprised that I like to play golf and smoke cigars. I don't know.
Okay. That works.
Well, Billy, some people just think that we stay glued to a guitar or a piano all the time. And, you've had some interesting different jobs too.
Yeah. Pro wrestling manager qualifies. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I knew you'd like that. Being from Texas. It. Yeah. Yeah, I just saw one of the Von Erichs on TV today. God, I mean, an old clip of Kerry. I remember when he passed. That was like a day of I mean, I was almost like Kennedy passing in Texas when he died.
It was the Von Erichs were something. The Iron Claw.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the daddy. That was Fritz.
Was it Bulldog Fletcher? Don't bark at the bulldog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, as they walked him down, all the people in the crowd were all barking. And
well, in the business, we used to talk about various places and various little federations, and there were none where the fans were any more just completely crazy than the Sportatorium in Dallas. That was like where you had to have, security get you to and from the ring if you were a bad guy, because we had guys that were stabbed. We had guys, I had lit cigarettes thrown at me. That happened all the time when you were a bad guy, man. These people hated you. And that was the whole idea, was to sell the tickets, because, you want them to be sitting at home in the trailer going, you know what? I'll pay $5 to see him get his ass beat, So, it was fun. Okay, so let me run a couple of things by you here. I'm going to run a couple of guitar players' names by you, and just tell me what it brings to mind when I say the name T-Bone Walker.
Oh man, T-Bone, he influenced everybody. He was wonderful. One of my favorites. Absolutely.
What about Pee Wee Creighton?
Another one of my favorites. I love After Hours. That's one of my favorites of his. And then Texas Hop, great one.
What was it about Pee Wee's style that set him apart?
I love the fact that he sort of played the T-Bone sort of style, but I liked it on that Stratocaster. Sounded really good and clean, and just the I think, wasn't that on Crown? I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, that was one of the labels that he was on. Yeah. Sure.
But that After Hours, I love all the reverb and the way they had all that stuff going. It was great.
Okay, to the uninitiated, what was? I mean, I know this sounds fun, but what was T-Bone Walker's greatness? How influential was he?
Well, gosh, I mean, early B.B. King sort of sounded a little bit like it. I think he influenced tons of people, even Gate somewhat. Some of the older stuff all of it was sort of Lowell Folsom. What was the guy that Zuzu Bolin? It's just, it sounds like T-Bone, sort of.
What about Wayne Bennett?
Wayne Bennett, man, Wayne Bennett, Clarence Holloman, Joe Hughes, all that group of guitar players that played on all that Bobby Bland and all the Duke, Peacock stuff. That just a more educated blues, sort of jazz blues,
right?
Just. They're incredible. I got a chance to work with Wayne some, and really more with Clarence, who was a wonderful man. He was married to Carol Fran, and he was an amazing guitar player.
You got to work with Holloman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Clarence played on that Thunderbird Davis record that we did on Blacktop. Also got Sam sang and Carol sang Rent Man Blues, and on one of our records, and Clarence came and played. It was fun, and a lot of those Blacktop blues-aramas and stuff. I mean, we actually got to hang out with all those people a lot.
Sure.
Got to, on that one record of Thunderbirds, Lloyd Lambert was the bass player who, he got one of the very first Fender basses.
Right. Last question. Last one. Danny Gatton.
Incredible guitar player. I don't have any understanding of how those people play like that. Makes no sense to me, but I love to listen to it. I couldn't tell you what they're doing.
I know I don't even play guitar, and I sit there.
Called chicken picking. Is that
Yeah.
right or wrong? I don't know.
Well, it's that place where, country and blues and all of it kind of mashed together.
Rockabilly, all that kind of stuff kind of gets mashed together. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Listen, man, it's been great talking to you. What's I know it's kind of a weird question with the way things are right now, but what's the future looking like at this point? Let's get past, we'll get past this. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think we're supposed to be on the 2022 cruise in January. I've got some stuff that if it really does happen in Europe, starting in April, May, I think stuff in June in Europe. If it happens, we'll have to see. I mean, I think it's sort of a crapshoot until, I don't know. My guess is that maybe it's possible, but some part of me feels like it's doubtful that any of us will be able to travel overseas for the first 6 months of next year. I would be a guess, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping maybe April or May I can go. But
You'll get there.
I've got this young man, Jose Ramirez, that I produced this record for. He went ahead and released his, but he hadn't had any, been able to tour behind it. So hopefully he'll be able to get out and go to work. I'm going to play a few shows with him in January. Got a new record that I produced for Andy Talamantes. That's a really great record. It's got Alabama Mike on it. And that has been yet to be released. So I'm looking forward to some of the things that I've worked on that really hasn't had much of a chance to, to be unveiled yet. So,
right.
I'm really looking forward to getting out and starting playing some music.
Sure. I'd like to invite you folks that are watching this to, when you get, after you're through watching this, to go back to the LRBC page and check out my podcast, the Driftin and Driftin podcast, because I'll be featuring a lot of Anson's music on there, along with some of the guys that we talked about, Clarence Holloman and some of these people. That's why we do the podcast, because people always go, wow, that sounds really interesting. And then, they don't know where to go to listen to it. So I'll put it out there for you. You can hear, because it's really worth hearing. The guys that we were talking about, these are some just incredible guitar players, and it's great music, and it's music that I would say everybody deserves to hear. So when you're 80 years old and you're sitting there on the front porch looking back on the whole thing, what are you going to be proudest of? What are you going to look at and go, yeah, that's all right, I did that? Boy, some of the things that you're going to be proudest of, personal or business. Well,
honestly, Billy, I'm amazed and that I'm just a country boy. I'm from Plano, Texas. I was born in McKinney and raised in Plano, and that's I still live there. I'm amazed at the places that I've been able to see and to do, and all the people that I've met. I don't know. I'm proud of all of it. I'm glad of all of it. I feel very fortunate that I met Sam. I feel very fortunate that Daryl and I have started the Rockets. It's been we've had a pretty good run of it, really.
Any final words for the folks out there?
Hope to see you soon out there somewhere.
Absolutely. And I'd like to wish everybody, on behalf of Anson, myself, and the LRBC folks, the very happiest and safest of holidays. And Reverend Billy Wirtz saying, it has been my absolute... Anson, man, you're the coolest. That was great. Thank you for a great interview.
You did the right thing, though. We do need to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And please, folks, stay safe and do what you got to do. And we'll see you again real soon. Reverend Billy saying, until the next time our paths cross, thank you so much. Be safe out there, and we'll see you a little bit further down the road. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
in. You got to wait on me now, darling, 'cause I'll be there one day. And until I get there, all I can do is hope and pray. Oh, yeah. All I can do is hope and pray.